Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to this special session on market competition. Today we'll be discussing about oligopolistic competition. Myself Shandar Ahmed, a faculty on Unacademy platform. I teach economics uh, for foundation and BCK as well, and economics of finance for intermediate. Now, today we'll be discussing about chapter uh, 4, market, and an important part of that market competition is oligopolistic competition, where students face some difficulty in understanding the characteristics of it. All right, so we'll be discussing and you get a lot of questions from there. So before we go into that, an important announcement for those students who have not yet joined Unacademy platform. So CA Iconic program, it is a flagship program on Unacademy platform for CA foundation aspirants, but this is as well available to CA intermediate students. All right. Now, what are the benefits of joining Unacademy and specifically joining or subscribing for Iconic program? You will get one-to-one personal coaching here, wherein you can clarify your doubt, every doubt that you have with regard to the subject being taught by the faculty. Any doubt you have, as many doubts as you have, there will be one-to-one doubt solving session. And the classes will also be very interactive, wherein the students can raise their hand, they can ask question not only through chat but also through voice chat. Your answer scripts will be evaluated, all right, and you'll receive printed notebooks. Industry experts will be coming on to the platform to make you more aware about the changes taking place in the field of commerce, industry and economics, and in the field of CA specifically. So there'll be Discord channel for community building for the students, and of course there'll be classes will be live, weekly tests will be there, and you can get unlimited access to the recorded classes. It means you can watch the recorded class as many times as you want without any time limit or restriction. That is going to help you in your revision as well. So now this particular program, the best part of Iconic program are the structured mock tests, because one problem the student face is that they don't take many of the mock tests, and even if they take the mock tests, then they're not able to evaluate their performance. So gone are those days now. There'll be structured mock test on Unacademy platform for Iconic students, and it will be divided into three stages, three-pronged approach. So on completion of 40% of the syllabus, you will get the first batch of mock test papers. Then upon completion of 80% of the syllabus, you will again receive a batch of mock test, and when completely the syllabus is over, that is after completion of 100% of the syllabus, to gauge your final preparation, you will be getting full length mock test paper. And what's good, each of these mock test papers will be evaluated and analyzed and discussed on the platform by the expert. And on top of that, the added advantage that is that you get personalized guidance and feedback from the experts based on your performance, so that you can know where you stand and you can fill in the gaps, so that you are well prepared to take any kind of paper, whether it's difficult or easy, in the examination. Now, as far as Iconic subscription goes, for 24 months if you take a package, you got to pay 58,000. That will boil down to 2417 per month. If you take a 12 months package, then you got to pay 35,000 rupees. That will come down to 2917 per month. And if you take a 6 months package, 25,000 you got to pay. That will come down to 4167 per month. So depending on your convenience, you can choose whichever package suits your needs, and you can start preparing right away. But please do not forget to use Yeshas Live when you subscribe to any of these packages, because that will make you eligible for additional discount on the already marked prices. So please do not forget to use the code Yeshas Live, YESHASLIVE. And because this program, this subscription will be these classes will be conducted by the faculties belonging to Yeshas Academy who have partnered with Unacademy. Now you can also go for a combo subscription for both CA foundation and intermediate, for which you got to pay 66,000 rupees, and that will come down to 2750 per month, or for 12 months course 49,500, which will come down to 4125 per month. Here also you can use Yeshas live code to get additional discount. On top of that, a very important announcement. There is a CA Foundation Mega Combat Quiz Competition that will be conducted on 23rd of January at 12 noon, 12 p.m. So what will happen that there is a 1 crore corpus for the students who score 100 ranks. They will get 100% scholarship to whichever program they want to choose. If you can check your personal preparation level among your peers, and questions are made by the industry expert who are specializing in that particular subject for which the questions are asked. On top of that, 100 lucky participants, they will win exciting gadgets and gift vouchers like Apple iPad, JBL speakers and Amazon vouchers. So please subscribe it. Subscription or enrollment is absolutely free, and when you enroll there also, please do not forget to use the code Yeshas Live. So what you're waiting for? Download the app and start preparing right away. Let's crack it. So now let's go back to the topic that for which this special class is meant, that we are going to discuss oligopolistic competition. Oligopolistic competition, sometimes we also call it as oligopoly. Now in case of oligopoly, it is a type of competition which has got various different types of oligopoly depending on the degree of the competition level and the nature of competition in the market. But we will come to that concept of degree of competition and the nature of or the different types of oligopoly later. Let's first understand what is oligopolistic competition. If you see, if we divide the market, if divide any market or any economy into various degrees of competition, you'll find that largely you can divide it into 4 types depending on the competition. On one end of the continuum you have perfect competition, and on the other end you have monopoly. In case of perfect competition, the degree of competition is very high, very high, and you'll see due to very high degree of competition, the prices of products, that is goods and services sold in a perfectly competitive market, is minimal. But we also know that perfect competition is an ideal construct wherein it doesn't exist in reality. It's a theoretical reality. So why do we study about perfect competition if it doesn't exist? The simple reason is that if we know what are the characteristics of a perfect competition, what happens in a perfect competition, then we can gauge or measure the imperfectness of any other type of competition. So it provides us a benchmark to determine the imperfectness in an imperfect competition. So that's why we study about perfect competition. But in between perfect competition and monopoly, you have 2 other major types of competition. That is, one is known as monopolistic competition, and another is known as oligopoly, or you can call it as oligopolistic competition, also popularly known as oligopoly. Alright, which is further away from perfect competition but closer to monopoly. Now we say that if we try to define what is an oligopoly, we say that it is a type of competition wherein very few number of large sellers are there in the market. What we say? Few number of large sellers in the market. If we compare it to monopolistic competition, we say in monopolistic competition there are large number of small sellers. Now where small and large sellers, how will you define when we are talking about the nature of competition? You see, generally in common parlance we say that a big business is big or a firm is big depending on the investment made in that business. But when you're talking about competition, when you try to perceive the business from the perspective of competition, a large business or a big business and a small business, how do you define a big business and a small business? We say that a small business is one which do not have the power to affect the market price through its output decision. They may be very big company, with big investment, but 2 or 3 or 4% of the consumers in the market are buying their product. So when 2 or 3% of the people are buying the product of any firm, do you think that firm has the power to bring about a revolutionary change in the market price of that particular commodity? Say for example, Jio, when it launched, before it was commercially launched, it was given for free for many of the consumers, and then Jio started to charge subscription fee. But the day when it started to charge subscription fees, it was already available in the market. The services was available from the past 2.5 or 3 years. It had already a subscription base of around 30%. So 30% of the consumers in the market, when they're subscribing to any particular business, that business is a very big business, and that's the reason why Jio was able to bring about a revolutionary change in the pricing of services in the telecom sector. But tell me, if Jio had only 4 or 5% of the market share, it means only 4 or 5% of the people were consuming or buying the services of Jio. Do you think sorry, do you think then Jio would have been able to bring about this drastic change or revolution or cause disruption in the telecom sector? The answer is no. So from the perspective of competition, we can consider that Jio is a very large firm. Alright. So in case of oligopoly, we say there are few big sellers in the market having significant control over the market price of the product. So what we say, there are few big sellers, or we say big firms in the market having significant control over the market price. Now remember, when I say few sellers, there has to be a number to it. So we say that generally when there are 2 to 10 sellers, up to 10 sellers, we consider it to be an oligopolistic competition. And if the number of sellers increase to be more than 10, then we start to call it a monopolistic competition. So basically here you have 2 to 10 big firms. But also remember one thing, that when there are only 2 firms in the market, two companies selling any particular product in the market, then this is also known as duopoly. But duopoly is not a different type of competition, is a part of oligopoly also only. So duopoly, you can also call it, is nothing but it's an oligopoly. Say for example, if I have to define what is duopoly, if you have done Venn diagrams, if I say this is oligopoly, then this is duopoly. So duopoly is nothing but an oligopoly. When there are only 2 sellers in the market, we call it as duopoly. Clear? Alright. Now 2 to 10 large firms are there. Now what kind of product do they sell in the market? Now it depends upon whether it's a differentiated oligopoly or a pure oligopoly. So it can be a differentiated oligopoly or a pure oligopoly. In a differentiated oligopoly, we get differentiated products wherein goods are similar but non-identical. What we get? Differentiated product. Differentiated products are sold. So when I say differentiated product, it means goods could be substitute but not perfect substitute. Alright. So goods or services sold by competing firms are substitutes but not perfect substitutes. These are substitutes but not perfect substitutes. Whereas when you're talking about a pure oligopoly, here homogeneous goods or identical goods are sold. Here homogeneous goods, that is identical goods, are sold. So largely we have the presence of differentiated oligopoly. Differentiated oligopoly we say. Now there is a concept which says whether the oligopolists are price takers or price makers. Now what is a price taker and what is a price maker? You see, in a perfect competition, it is assumed that goods sold by different firms are perfect substitutes of one another. They are exactly same utility. They have exact same utility for the consumer. Alright, exact same utility for the consumer. That's why they are considered as to be a perfect substitute. But we also know as a matter of fact that perfect substitutes is an ideal construct. In reality, these types of goods are not to be found. Perfect substitutes are there. So when perfect substitutes are sold in the market, then the price of these goods will also be the same. It means every seller across the entire economy is charging the same price for that particular product if that product has a perfect market or it's a perfect substitute. It means any new firm entering the market cannot sell at a higher or a lower price. It will have to take up the prevailing market price. Reason is for two reasons. First is that why will people pay even 20 paisa or 10 paisa more for a perfect substitute? So if a new seller entering the market, if they in a perfect competition, if they try to charge a higher price, nobody will pay. He'll not be able to sell. And second reason is that why not they can sell lower at the price at a lower price, because the thing is, due to very strong competition, the price has been beaten down to the lowest possible level. It means the margin of profit is very less. So you cannot sell at a lower price. It means you have to sell below cost or at cost. That's why any new firm entering the market have to take up the market price. So the firms are price taker, we say, in a perfect competition. Whereas in case of oligopoly, there is no such thing, because perfect substitutes are not there. The goods are differentiated. So every seller may charge different price for the same product. For example, telecom sector in India is an oligopoly. Why? Because of course there are less than 10 firms in the market. Alright. So do you think the services offered by Jio, Idea, Vodafone, Airtel, BSNL, MTNL, are they exactly the same? They are not exactly the same, but they are very close substitute. More or less the same. But do they charge a different price? The answer is no. Do they charge the different price? The answer is yes. But is there a hell and heaven difference between the price? No, there is no hell and heaven difference between the price, but there is a difference in the price. There is a difference in the price. Alright, and some difference in services also. So these are differentiated oligopoly, and so when a seller is able to differentiate his product than the competitor, then he can determine to sell at a higher or a lower price than the competitor. I can say that my product is the number one product in the country, better than all other sellers. So I will advertise my product to be the superior than all other sellers, and I may charge you something extra for it. Alright. Or if I want to beat my competitors by applying the law of demand, then I'll say that I'm offering you best quality of product but at a relatively lower price. So I can give you a discount. It means the firms are not price taker but price maker. They will continuously keep rigging the price, keep changing the price in order to, according to the market situation, in order to increase or improve their revenue. So that's why we say that firms are price makers because because they decide the market price of their product. So the firms are price makers, they are not price takers. Then we say, will there be any barrier to entry for any new firm entering the market? The answer is yes, but again that depends upon the nature of oligopoly. In a competitive oligopoly is one wherein the sellers are competing with one another. There is a price war that can happen. In that case, the oligopoly will remain to be an open oligopoly, because when the firms are competing against one another, it is not possible for them to collude. Collude means coming to common understanding, alright, to do something immoral, alright, that is to exploit the consumer. So there is no concept of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours in a competitive oligopoly. So they all the businesses are fighting with each other, so there will be no barrier to entry. Any new firm can comfortably enter the market if it's able to sustain the competition, the heat of the competition. It will remain in the competition. If it's not, it will become bankrupt and leave the market. As simple as that. All right. But when they ask you a question from the journal parlance, that will there be a barrier to entry, it is usually been found in case of oligopoly that firms do come together to protect each other's interest by creating a syndicate or an organized oligopoly. Now this is illegal because in many of the countries including India, there is a statutory body which is known as Competition Commission of India, and if it detects or finds out any kind of collusion between businesses in order to create an environment wherein it will become difficult for the new sellers to enter the market, all right, unethical business practices, then Competition Commission of India can take action against that particular company. But since this happens behind closed door and there is no formal agreement as such, so it's very difficult to detect where the collusion is happening or not. Alright, let's say for example in US, you'll find AT&T and Verizon. These are the two big telecom firms. They have entered into a collusion wherein AT&T says that I will not enter your territory, I will not compete with you in your territory, you do not come and compete with me in my territory. So that they have created a kind of a segmented monopoly. It means you remain in the north, you take care of the northern states, I'll take care of the southern states. I will not try to grab the consumers in the north, you will not try to grab the consumers in the south. We will operate in our region, so that if any new seller is entering the market, AT&T will not have to bother about Verizon. It will easily tackle that new competitor by creating a price barrier. How will you create a price barrier? When a new seller is entering the market, the existing competitors, existing business, they will decrease the price. They may even afford to sell at a lower at a price which is lower than their cost of production, because their intention is to protect their market share in the long run. So never want the competition or the market to open up. So when a new firm is entering into the business and they know that their market is threatened, because when there is competition and if the competition increases, people have more choices. When people have more choices, then the elasticity of demand will increase. And due to increase in the elasticity of demand, when people are becoming more responsive, in order to increase the sales, the businesses have to decrease the price. And that oligopolists never want. Otherwise, how can consumer exploitation will happen? So what happens here, generally in an oligopoly, all the big businesses, they will come together to create a syndicate kind of a system, and they will create a very strong barrier so that any new seller will find it very difficult to enter the market. And if they enter the market, it becomes very difficult for them to sustain, because these are the big players in the market and you are just a new entrant in the market. You cannot survive fighting with the collective power of these bigger organizations. So this company will start incurring losses, because only till so much a new business can decrease the price. It will bleed out, it will lead to erosion of capital, and when it's wiped out, all these companies together, they will increase the market price. So we say that there is a very strong barrier to entry which will block the entry of new competitors into the market. So there is a very strong barrier to entry created by the existing businesses to make it difficult for any new competitor to enter the market. To enter the market. So that is known as barrier to entry. That is known as barrier to entry. Next. Now, in today's world, advertisement cost or selling cost plays a very important role. Alright, because how do you think the consumer differentiate the product? It means, say for example, I want to buy an LG television. Now I'll be confused when I go to the showroom. Why? Because I had made up my mind, somebody told me to go and buy LG television. When I went to the market, the shopkeeper shows me, sir, this is Sony, this is Samsung QLED, this is LG HD television, this is OLED television, this is OnePlus television, that is Apple TV. Now I'm confused. Why I'm confused? Because they all offer very similar, they are very similar product, offering very similar services, similar satisfaction. Alright, now what should I take? Now this confusion is to the benefit of the sellers. Now the difference between a Samsung television or a Sony or an LG television is not much. Some difference here and there. A difference between an Apple iPhone and OnePlus is not much, but people are willing to pay more than double the price for an iPhone. Why? Because iPhone has been successfully, maybe it is little bit superior, no problem, but the thing is, are you getting 100% more feature in an Apple phone because you are paying more than 100% extra? Alright, an Apple phone is sold high-end model 1.5 lakh rupees, OnePlus high-end 60,000 rupees. So double of 60,000, 1,20,000 rupees. So you are paying 30,000 more than the double the price. Are you getting same amount of benefit with respect to the amount of extra money that you are paying? Even are you getting 100% extra feature in an Apple phone compared to a OnePlus because you are paying more than 100%? The answer is no. Then why people are willing to pay so much of extra money for an Apple iPhone? The only answer is Apple has been able to differentiate its product from the crowd, and it has been successfully able to create a brand equity. What is a brand equity? Brand equity is when a brand or a business creates an illusion about the product. Alright, maybe the product is very good, but the illusion it creates is that it is excellent, very good. So there is a herd behavior of the public, there is a demonstration effect that people will rush to buy that product. So through differentiation, by differentiating between the product, the businesses can get a large chunk of the customer, That's why we say that advertisement cost or selling cost in today's world play a very important role, very critical role. Through advertisement, they can make people violate the law of demand as well, because many of the companies, their product price is higher compared to a competitor product, and it is not as superior as people think, but still people are willing to pay 3 times, 4 times, maybe 10 times the money. If you go and buy a Louis Vuitton purse, ladies purse, if you buy, people are willing to spend 50 lakh rupees for a purse. Can you beat that? 50 lakh rupees for a purse, for a wallet or something like that. 50 lakh rupees. Now I cannot understand, is that particular purse worth 50 lakh rupees? I can understand, chalo 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees, I can still understand. If somebody sells you something at 50 lakh rupees, why you are paying? Why people are paying? Illusion has been able to create. People are purchasing jeans of some reputed brands by paying 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh rupees. Alright, I buy a Levi's jeans going to the market at 2,500 rupees. Now what is the difference? I don't understand what is the difference. Is the difference so much that people are willing to pay 20 times, 30 times, 40 times the money? The answer is no. So differentiation has been created in the minds of the consumer through advertisement. So advertisement cost or selling cost play a very important role, and that's why both monopolistic competition and oligopolistic competition are considered as non-price competition. Here price doesn't matter. You create an illusion about the product and you will be able to increase your customer base. So we say that it is known as non-price. Which competition? Oligopolistic competition. It is known as non-price competition. Where advertisement cost, or sometimes we call it selling cost, play a very important role in creating consumer preference. Alright, consumer preferences. Clear? It's a non-price competition. Now there is a concept of abnormal profit, normal profit, losses and abnormal losses. You will find that in case of oligopolistic competition, there may be a possibility that in the short and in the long run, businesses are able to make abnormal profit, to earn abnormal profit. Now abnormal profit is not when a business is making huge amount of profit. Abnormal profit is calculated as to how much is the price over the cost of production. Let's say for example, there are two different products, alright, A and B. So let's say for A, the cost of production is rupees 1000, alright, and the selling price for A is rupees, let's say 20,000, or let's say 21,000, let's say, alright. So profit per unit is rupees 20,000. So if the company sell, that is the quantity sold, is say if it is 10 units, then I can say that the total profit is how much? Is rupees 2 lakh, because 20,000 rupees is per unit of profit. So you are selling 10 units, so 20 lakh is the 2 lakh is the profit. Now for product B, if suppose the cost of production is again 1,000, but the selling price is suppose is only 1100 rupees. It means margin of profit is only 10%. So it means profit per unit is only rupees 100 per unit. But B is able to sell, let's say, 10 lakh units. 10 lakh units. So it means it can make how many? So, alright, 1 crore rupees it will be able to make. 10 crore rupees. 10 crore rupees it will be able to make. Now, B makes more profit than A. If you look at the total profit, B makes more profit than A. But who makes abnormal profit? Who earns abnormal profit? Remember, abnormal profit is not when you compare the total profit. Abnormal profit is not when you compare the total profit, but when you compare the margin of profit. Here, the margin of profit is very huge, and here the margin of profit is less. So the margin, that is the cost and the selling price difference, will determine whether you are earning abnormal profit or a normal profit, not the total aggregate profit. Alright. So, do you think in a oligopolistic competition, the businesses will be able to make normal profit or abnormal profit? The answer is there could be a possibility. Due to collusion and creation of a syndicate, businesses are able to make abnormal profit also, both in the short and in the long run. So, businesses may earn abnormal or supernormal profit. Losses can happen anywhere. Losses, no businesses are immune to losses. Losses or abnormal losses can happen at any point in time in any type of competition, any type of market. Even in a monopoly, losses can happen. You see, when a monopoly is run by the government's intention for running a monopoly is not to rig the market, is not to control the market. The purpose could be for the purpose of national interest. Government can have a monopoly in generation of nuclear power. For promoting socio-economic policies, the government can have a monopoly in running a railway services, providing a railway services. For protecting the national security, again the government can have a monopoly in defense. Government can have a monopoly due to many reasons, but certainly not for the purpose of making profit. But businesses in the private sector, if they are creating monopoly, it is only their ultimate objective is to exploit the consumer and earn abnormal profit. So losses can happen anywhere, even in a monopoly losses can happen. So that's a very uh, unfounded idea, you can say, wherein people say that there cannot be losses. They can be. Usually in a monopoly, if it's run by a private sector, they will be abnormal profit, but there are chances that they can be losses as well. Right? They can be losses as well. Now, firm and industry, you'll find that there is certain feature which is unique to a particular competition and other competition. So in case of monopoly, we say that the firm and industry are same. Why? Because in monopoly there is only one firm which is the only seller for that particular unique product in the market. So I can say that that particular firm or one single firm is in itself an industry. Say for example, hypothetically, if suppose only Tata produces steel in India, if only Tata produces steel in India, don't you think I can say that Tata Steel equals to Indian steel industry? I can actually say, correct? I can definitely say, but that is not true today. Today it is not true, because not only Tata produces steel, we have got several private players like Arcelor Steel, Jindal Steel. We have public sector undertaking also in the form of Steel Authority of India Limited. So can I say in that case that steel industry equals to only Tata Steel or only Steel Authority of India Limited or only Jindal Steel? No. So in that case we have to say that industry is nothing but a collection of firm. In case of monopoly, it is a unique feature that there is industry and firm is the same. But in all other competition, you will find that industry is different from the firm. Alright. So we say that there is a difference between an industry and a firm. How? We say that total output of the industry is the summation, or you can say aggregate, of output of all the firms taken together. Now, as far as demand curve is concerned in oligopoly, you will find a very unique kind of demand curve. This kind of unique demand curve you will not find anywhere in any other competition. We call it as a kinked demand curve or indeterminate demand curve. We say what? The demand curve is kinked. Kinked meaning indeterminate. It means you must have heard about refraction of light. Some of you may have studied at some point in time in your school in common general lessons for science in physics. When light enters from a rare to a denser medium or vice versa, it will bend. So generally you will find that demand curve is like this, alright. But in a oligopoly, there is the demand curve become indeterminate. You will see the demand curve will bend like this. There is a bending of the demand curve happens, and this middle portion from where the bend happens, this is known as the kink. Alright. This is also, we say that the demand curve is indeterminate or kinked, and this happens due to what we know as price rigidity. It means the indeterminateness of the demand curve is due to price rigidity. Now what is price rigidity? Let's understand this concept here first. Let's suppose there is a competition going on in oligopoly. It is a competitive oligopoly. Let's say there are some sellers. Let's say these are the sellers A, B, C, D, E and F. Let's take it. Alright. These are the few big sellers in the industry. All are oligopolists. Now, if suppose A increases the price of its product, let's say A increases the price by 20% for any reason. It could be n number of reasons why the company is increasing the price. A may be thinking that I have a brand equity for my product, so people will continue to buy, and A may be wrong at times. Alright. There are wrong business decisions taken. So maybe A is wrong, maybe A is right, whatever it is the case. A increases the price by 20%. Now tell me, do you think other competitors, these are all competitors like B, C, D, E and F, do you think they will increase the price in the same way? The answer is no. Why? If they increase the price, maybe so that B will increase the price by 5%, C will not increase the price, it will keep it constant, D may increase the price by 10%, E may increase the price by 7%, F may increase the price by 2%. It means all of them are also increasing the price. Some may not increase the price like C, but one thing is common is that everybody is increasing the price by the margin which is lower than what has been done by A. Now why do they do it? Because they will benefit by the actions of A. Because when they are selling similar commodity, people will find goods sold by A to be relatively more expensive compared to the goods sold by B, C, D, E and F. So many of the consumers of A who are not stuck to a to the brand A, they will prefer to migrate and buy the product sold by B, C, D, E or F. It means if A increases the price, people will try to search for a relatively cheaper option, and if they find that very similar product at a relatively lower price is being sold by other competitors, then many of the consumers, if not all, many of the consumers from A will migrate to B, C, D, E and F. So it means they are rigid not to increase the price. The competitors are rigid not to increase the price in the same way as A. Why they will do it? Because many consumers of A will go or will start to consume the product of other competitors. It means the other competitors will gain from the action of A. So there is a price rigidity. It means the other sellers are not going to increase the price. Alright. So they are rigid. But tell me what if A decreases the price? Now again A is there, B, C, D, E and F. Now rather than increasing, A decreases the price by 20%. Do you think B, C, D, E and F, do you think they will or they can afford to say no, I will not decrease the price, or I will decrease the price lesser than A? No. In fact, they all will decrease the price in the same way as A. Why? Because now if they don't decrease the price, now if they are still rigid and don't decrease the price, it means the consumers of B, C, D, E and F will go to A. They will lose a large chunk of their consumers, because the consumers of A, B, C, D, E and F, they will find A to be selling very similar commodity at a relatively cheaper price. So A will gain from this fall in price. Do you think other competitors will sit quiet when they are losing their customers? The answer is no. So they will also reduce the price. So A will gain, but only few consumers, because only till the time when A has reduced and the others have not followed the price reduction, till that time the consumers will flow from the competitors to A. But the moment the competitors also reduce the price, the flow of customers from them to A will reduce. So it means now when the price is falling, the competitors are not preferring to be rigid. This thing will make the demand curve, this behavior of the competitors will make the demand curve kinked. So let's understand this, the concept you have understood. Let's understand this diagram. Let's say this is the price and this is the quantity. Now this is the demand curve and this demand curve bends. This bending portion I will call it as K. Now suppose this is the original price P and this is the original quantity Q. So when A, let's say, increases the price, when A increases the price from P0 to P1, this is the demand curve of A. Alright, it means consumers buying commodity A. When A increases the price, let's say by 20%, the quantity demanded for A fell by more than 20%. You see, if you find out the difference between P0 and P, between P and P0 and Q0, don't you think there is a relatively big fall in quantity demanded for A when there is an increase in the price from P to P0? So P to P0 the price is increasing by 20%, but the quantity demanded for A is falling down by more than 20%. It means I can say that there is an elastic demand, E is greater than 1. Consumers have elastic demand. It means the response of the consumer is more. When the response of the consumer is more, why it is more? Because there is a huge relative difference in price between A and the other competitors. So A is increasing the price, B, C, D, E and F are not increasing the price in the same manner. A small increase in price happens. So what happened? There is a big difference in price of A and price of B, price of A or price of B. Alright, price of A and price of B. So due to which many of the consumers from A, they'll migrate to B, C, D, E and F. So there is a relatively higher fall in quantity demanded for A. So we say above the kink, the demand is elastic. Above the kink, the demand is elastic. Above the kink, the demand is elastic because there is a relative difference, big relative difference in price between A and the prices charged by the competitors. But when A decreases the price from P, let's say to P2, or let's say P1, you take it, P to P1. So again, let's say if A decreases the price by 20%. So now the original quantity is Q. You see by how much quantity demanded increase? The quantity demanded increase from Q to Q1 only by this margin. So you see the increase in demand is from Q to Q1 is relatively lower compared to the fall in price from P to P1. It means I can say the demand is inelastic here. But why does it happen? Why does it happen? Because now when A decreases the price, the competitors start to lose their customers because customers of B, C, D, E and F, they found out that A is available at a relatively way lower price. So they start to migrate from B, C, D, E and F to A. When this movement of the consumers, that the migration of the consumers is quickly recognized by B, C, D, E and F. In order to stop this flow of customers from them to A and protect their market, they will also reduce the price. It means A will gain only to the extent or only till the time when it has reduced the price and the others have not yet reduced the price, but others soon reduce the price, so A will gain only a little bit. If B, C, D and E and F, they do not reduce the price, then what will happen? You see, then the demand will fall by a big margin. Alright, and again it will be elastic. So here E will be less than 1. So it means I can say that below the kink, the demand is inelastic. Alright, or E is less than 1. Now this is known as price rigidity. Due to this, the demand curve will become kinked or indeterminate. Indeterminate demand curve is a unique feature of a oligopoly. So what kind of questions they will ask you? Simple questions you have to keep in mind. First thing that is that kinked demand curve is also commonly known as indeterminate demand. Then the kinked demand curve is due to price rigidity. Alright. Price rigidity happen when competitors do not follow the price increase in the same way. Whenever the price is raised by an individual firm. Alright. But when the price is reduced, then other competitors also follow the price reduction. Alright. Then the concept of price rigidity was given by Sweezy. Sometimes they ask you the name of the person, the economist who gave this concept. Paul Sweezy was the person who gave the concept or the idea about price rigidity. And lastly, you have to remember that above the kink the demand will be elastic and below the kink the demand will be inelastic. Above the kink the demand will be relatively elastic, that is E greater than 1, and below the kink the demand will be inelastic or relatively inelastic. That is E less than 1. From these points you will get easily two questions, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. So from these 6 points you will definitely get one question. So these are some of the important, very important features of oligopoly I have discussed today, and straight away if I combine all the characteristics and including the Kinked demand hypothesis, then you can expect 4 questions straight away from here. In this 1 hour of session I have covered 4 questions for you that you are going to get in your foundation examination. More often than not you will get, this is the average number of questions that they ask from this particular characteristics that we have discussed today. Hope this session has helped you, and please remember to download the Unacademy app